Hello, Sound Seekers. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. Thank you for your undying loyalty. If you are a new listener, please don't leave me. This is the intro, the part of the podcast where you are forced to listen to me talk about what I'm about to talk about on the show, a show we call Sound for Thought, a podcast produced by Redefining Records and hosted by myself, Andrew Schultz. If you like what you hear, please give us a follow on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram at Redefining Records to keep up with new episodes and other cool shit that we post. If you have any suggestions for how the show could be better, you're wrong. It's already the greatest podcast in existence. That being said, if you think there is somebody we should really be interviewing or something you think we'd be crazy not to talk about, shoot us a DM on Instagram at Redefining Records. We recorded this chat early last week before all of the coronavirus craziness really exploded, and this will definitely be the last in-person interview we do for a while, but fear not. We are recording more interviews all the time remotely over the internet. Thank you, internet. And we're going to keep bringing you more content because that is what the world needs right now, limitless content. Today, I am very excited to share with you a lovely conversation with Jordie Saenz, otherwise known as Lakewalks, and also known for writing and producing for Love You Later. He's extremely talented and even more kind. Jordie and I talk about all sorts of pleasant things in this interview, like how to get out of a creative rut, how to leave behind fossils of yourself through your music, the rhythms of life on tour, how it can be the most amazing thing ever and the worst thing ever. We talk about the indie romance film that is his marriage, staying out of song debt, Pokémon, Joseph Campbell, Joey Cams, BoJack Horseman, and so much more. You can follow Jordie on Instagram at It's Jordie. Find his music everywhere that DistroKid puts it, most likely Spotify or Apple Music if you're a normal, non-crazy person. Definitely also take a minute to check out his Lakewalks project, especially if you're into ambiance and peaceful chill music like me. And finally, stay tuned for the interview. We're going to listen to one of Jordie's songs first, as always. You will hear in the interview, he talks about this song. He wrote it for his wife, and it's his own personal favorite. Hear the whole story of the song about halfway through the episode. This one is called Easy.
I broke no brambled soil. You weighed no anxious toil. No burden had befallen us. Our worlds did not collide. They gently intertwined, cascading into confluence.
Okay, let's do it.
Sweet,
Let's
sounds
just
good.
dive right in. So, I always like to start by kind of just painting a picture of your history as a musician, starting with childhood, of course.
Cool.
At the beginning. So I'm always curious to hear like how you grew up with music, whether your parents were musicians and like what kind of music they played around the house, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I grew up with music kind of all around me, not in any sort of like professional way. Like my dad just like played guitar in high school, and so we had like acoustic guitars laying around the house, and he'd play like Beatles and Beach Boys and Led Zeppelin and all that stuff that he grew up with. So I just grew up hearing like, it was like pretty normalized. Like you play if you like a song, you play it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, my family, I have two older brothers. So mom, dad, and two older brothers. We were all involved in musical theater in like the local area. Cool. Yeah. Just like community theater. So like everyone was always singing songs. Both my brothers like dabbled in music as well, and like they both had written songs before I even like considered it. Mm-hmm. So all of this was just like normalized. It's like when you're a part of this family, you pick up a guitar and strum it. Yeah. You sing songs around the house. You write songs. And yeah, so like it's kind of like one of those things where you don't find out that it's not a normal thing until like you're older, and it's like, oh yeah, just playing music around the house, and people are like, I wish I could. Like, you can't. You just pick it up and strum it. But yeah, so I guess it was just like pretty normalized for me early on, and so I started playing guitar when I was like 10, and like started writing songs shortly after that. They started off silly. Like my first song is a love song about a koala.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to hear that song.
I still remember it. I still know how to play it. I should probably record it and sneak it on the internet sometime.
You should definitely record it. I mean, you could do a whole kids' music album.
That's actually... So I have 4 nephews and 2 nieces now, and I'll play music for them, and all my brothers and sisters-in-law are like, you gotta make kids' music. Because I kind of just will improvise songs when I'm hanging out with them, and kids love it, and so it's not officially on the agenda, but it's definitely...
Yeah, it's on the back of your mind.
Yeah, it's definitely an option.
I like it. I think you'd be good at it, yeah. So did you ever take lessons or anything, or are you all kind of self-taught or family-taught?
Yeah, for the most part, it's all been self-taught. I had like a few... I think like when I was 10, we had like this 4-week, once-a-week lesson that my brother and I did together as like a community guitar lesson at like some community center, and it was helpful, but it was like, learn this Nirvana song and come back next week. And it's like, I had never heard of Nirvana because I'm 10 and
can't relate.
Didn't listen to Nirvana. But it was helpful. It like got me playing guitar more, and then more comfortable, and just kept doing it from there. I took a music theory class in high school.
Oh, cool. Which high school?
I went to Mission Viejo High School.
Okay. Yeah.
And so between that and like the choir class, I think it just like it expanded like my musical vocabulary, and I would like take what I learned and like go home and be like, great, I know what this chord means and like how to use it now. Mm-hmm. And so I would try and learn stuff and then apply it. And so it just kind of like integrated it into like what I was already doing.
Yeah.
So like technically I guess that would be some sort of formal training because it was like getting taught, but for the most part just self-taught.
Yeah. And at what point in your journey did it seem like this is something I want to pursue? Like this is something that's a higher priority for me than other things?
That's a funny question. I feel like I'm asking myself that question a lot. And I think it really just goes back to like, this was normalized for me. Yeah. And so I don't think that there ever was like a deciding point of like, all right, I'm going to do it now. This is like, I'm going to take it seriously. I think it was just, this is a thing that I do, and I just haven't stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll put more effort in and like take it more seriously, and sometimes I just relax a little, but for some reason I don't stop writing songs and I don't stop recording, so it's kind of just keeping the ball in the air at this point.
That's good. How often do you perform?
That's a funny question too. Like that's one of the things that's like, oh, a person who would take this more seriously would be like out there trying to book stuff, and
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just like let stuff come. I used to try and book more shows or put on house shows at our house. But now it's like if people ask me to play, then I will. I want to get in the habit of playing more. So sometimes I'll play like 3-4 times a month, and then sometimes I'll go 3-4 months without playing at all.
Yeah.
So kind of inconsistent. I just, if there's a wave, I'll ride it, and sometimes I'll just chill. Yeah.
It was just interesting because when you were talking, it seemed like you were saying, I write and I record, I write and I record a couple times. That's why I was like, how often do you play and stuff? So
yeah,
it sounds like it's just kind of like you kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, and I think like it's just the habit and pattern that I'm used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess primarily I find myself writing. I guess it would be in that order, like writing, recording, and playing. Mm-hmm. Is I guess how the allocation of time is ordered. Or just noodling around on a guitar in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for fun. Mm-hmm. That's a great activity. That's what I like to do. So I'm curious kind of how you divide your time between your different projects, or like kind of the timeline of what came first, or which one is, if I'm sure they're both important to you. Or if there might be more than two that I know of. Just like, I know your Jordie Saenz songs and your Lakewalks songs.
Yeah.
I might be missing some other ones, possibly.
Yeah, I guess there's another that's like less directly affiliated. I like will write and produce for an artist called Love You Later.
Okay.
And at times I want to do more producing, but then other times it's stressful and vulnerable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Jordie Saenz stuff is just like, if I write a song that I like and want to record it, I'll do it. Which I guess a lot of times takes more precedence over some of the other stuff, especially since like playing live, all the Lakewalks stuff isn't really like easy to translate into a live setting.
Sure, yeah.
Because that project kind of started out as like I didn't set out to like make an ambient album or an ambient project. It was kind of like just a way for me to do something, spend my time without like wasting it, because
Yeah.
I get like really anxious if at the end of the night I like look back on my day and it's like I didn't do anything productive. I just
Totally
watched
get
a
you.
show or played video games.
Yeah.
So it's like something I can give myself to point back to be like, I lived today and spent it well.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, and then eventually that turned into like the whole project, which I'm really stoked on.
Me too.
Thanks.
I really liked it, yeah. That's sick.
But yeah, I've kind of put that on pause because I'm working on an album of stuff just under my name.
Yeah.
And then just wrapped up working on a new EP with Love You Later. And so, yeah, there isn't like a super planned out way I divide the time. I kind of like to do it one at a time. Mm-hmm. Just I'm learning more and more that I have way more of a one-track mind than I'd like to have. I wish I could like fire on all cylinders all the time. But yeah, I find it's just easier to focus on one at a time. But yeah, so that's kind of how I'm rolling right now.
Yeah. I'm the same way. It's hard to multitask and make it good.
Yeah. Although I find that if I'm getting creatively stuck in one, if I shift to the other, it really helps like get the juices flowing.
Yeah.
And like I'll discover something new on a synth or with production wise that it's like, oh, that might have been the missing thing that I can go and like implement on that other project. And I think that's just like one of the biggest benefits of working on multiple things is they all inform one another.
Mm-hmm. Different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. So I'm
Definitely.
not getting stuck in my own ruts.
Yeah, and it just gives you something else to do when you are stuck. That's cool. So I've gotten kind of the picture of like how things got started. I'm curious, besides like the music you mentioned that your parents were into, was there anything you were listening to, maybe like early teens and stuff, that was like triggered you to be like, okay, I need to make music like this, or like this is really making me want to go write a song?
Yeah, I think like early on, the things that stick out are Death Cab for Cutie, Copeland, which is like one of my all-time favorite bands.
Damn.
And Bright Eyes was another big one, as well as Iron and Wine. So all those kind of like influencing me, just because they were songs that really affected me. Like I have distinct memories of listening to those artists.
Yeah.
From like 13, 14, 15 through high school, and still to this day, just being like, wow, I want to create that same thing, whatever they created in me.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'd like a direct comparison to know, what are you listening to now? I mean, obviously you still go back to those artists, but is there anything you're hyped on right now, or like recent discoveries that you've had?
I mean, yeah, I feel like I generally have like this like pile of mainstays where it's like once I've like listened to an artist enough, it's like, all right, you get in the Hall of Fame. So like Copeland's in there, Death Cab's in there. Sufjan Stevens I've been listening to since like the end of high school, and he's a huge influence. Bon Iver, incredible. It took me a while to get into the National, but the most recent one is like, I've been listening to it like almost daily for ever since it's been out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like a lot of bands like that, and kind of bands in that same vein. It's interesting because I think different artists are influencing different projects, and so like I really love the 1975 and Japanese House, and those have kind of influenced how I approach writing parts and producing for Love You Later. There's this Japanese composer named Masakatsu Takagi who's like influenced a ton of the Lakewalks stuff. And yeah, I guess all of these influences I've kind of stumbled upon, and lately I'm trying to like seek out stuff to like implement, because I feel like one of the important things about creativity is like constantly learning, so that I heard someone say one time, or a handful of people have said, like creativity is drawing connections between two unlike things. So it's like in order to get more creative, keep learning more unlike things. Yeah. So you can draw more connections. So yeah, I'm trying to stretch myself and like learn new instruments, learn new styles of music. So right now I'm kind of trying to stretch like my piano skills and learn classical stuff as well as like jazz, and yeah, it's just like changing the mindset. So I keep all the things that I enjoy and that are like my comfy influences, and it's like, all right, and then I got to push myself too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like, I don't know who said this either, but other people say like the best way to like make something is to take like a piece of something known and a piece of something new. It's kind of this. Cool. It's just alliteration, but it's basically the same point as the quote you said. Yeah, which is cool. I mean, like, that's pretty much how any advance, whether it's like creative or like technological, it's like we keep building on the next thing, and like, and yet bringing a new thing and an old thing. It's like we keep iterating, and I think that's just really fascinating, and I want to bring that to my music, so that, I don't know, it's a bummer when bands, it's like, oh man, you're still making stuff that sounds exactly the same as no progression 20 years ago. Which is still great, because you gotta love nostalgia. But like, you gotta keep pushing yourself and integrating new things. That's why I get annoyed with the people or the fans who are upset for a new direction from a band. I'm very like against that because I'm like, even if I don't like it as much as their old stuff, at least you got to appreciate them trying to push to something new. Whereas like there's always a few fans that are just like, oh, it's not as good.
Yeah, totally. I think people like really love to glorify like the good old days.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like even those bands, they're getting new fans. So it's like their new stuff. They're doing something different and people are gravitating towards it. And like I've caught myself on that a couple times with bands I love who like try a new sound. At first I'm like, this isn't the band I know and love. But then I give it a while and it's like, okay, all right, that's cool. I'm into it now.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to just keep an open mind and give it time, or just accept that it's different even if you don't like it. Just be like, they tried.
Yeah. I find that if I give myself the time and open my mind, I'll end up finding something to love no matter what.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you talked about a few of your favorite bands. I'm always curious to know kind of what people's favorite like concert going experience has been. I imagine maybe you've seen a few or some of those artists live.
Yeah, I mean, like, pretty much when I think of my favorite concerts, it's been those ones.
Describe.
Yeah, I got a few stories. So, the first time I saw Sufjan Stevens was actually the first concert I went to after I got married.
Oh,
so that was special and in a great way.
Yeah.
And I think I was just, like, blown away by, like, how professional the performance was, and that it was, like, full experience. And it was, like, everyone was sat down, which I thought was, like, so interesting. But I ended up loving it, because it's, like, we're all just here to, like, experience this. It's not, like, I don't know, there's something different about, like, standing around. Sitting down for a performance makes it feel more like, not like theatrical in the sense of, like, it's a theatrical performance, but that it's, like, this is art, and we're sitting here to experience
You're
this.
observing it.
Yeah, and that was special. And then I actually had the privilege of, like, playing guitar for a band that was opening for Copeland on a tour.
Oh, cool.
So, like, this band that I grew up, like, idolizing and being like, I want to make music like that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I got to see play every night.
Yeah.
And that was crazy in so many ways, because it's, like, getting to know them as people was just so cool, because it's like, yeah, you are really just people, but also, like, you formed, like, my teenage years and adult years. And so that was really special. And then most recently I went to the Bon Iver concert that came through a while ago. And I think it was, it's a funny story. It's the first concert that I remember, like, being, like, super high at.
Oh, yeah.
I, like, I just was like, I think I want to experience this high.
Yeah.
And my mind was blown. I was, like, soaring through the cosmos.
Yeah.
And just, like, blown away. I felt like I was plugged into the universe. And
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent album, the songs are incredible. And then just the way that they were able to translate it live was so impressive.
Yeah.
It was, like, both impressive and, like, wow, I'm really feeling this. Especially since, like, I don't know if you're familiar with what they did with the lighting. They had all these suspended mirrors that would, like, move in these different arrangements.
Oh,
and
dang.
they would point the stage lights at the mirrors.
That's cool.
So it was just doing all this crazy stuff. Yeah, and I was just flying through space and time and
That's amazing.
understood all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, I saw Bon Iver, I think it was Coachella 2017 maybe, or the last time that he and they performed there, and I don't think it was the same show. I don't remember mirrors, but I do remember just an incredible performance, and also being very, like, locked in, very, like, emotionally connected, and just being blown away by how well they recreated the music live. So
Yeah, I'm always so impressed when people are able to do that in a way that, like, it's very obviously the same song from the album, but in a totally different way.
yeah, it's fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I agree. So I'm curious to hear a little more about this touring experience. you were recommended to come on here by David Pollock.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always ask the person who recommends, like, to give me some tips on, like, questions and stuff. And that was, like, one thing he said we should talk about is just your experience touring and, like, all the different acts that you've toured with and kind of what those experiences have meant to you.
Yeah, that's
You
great.
mentioned one already, so yeah.
Yeah, so I toured playing in a band called Many Rooms, and we were opening for Copeland and From Indian Lakes. And From Indian Lakes was, like, right after high school, like, a formative band for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. And then another tour experience I played bass for a band called Super Whatever. And yeah, touring it's just something else. It's especially when it's like DIY touring, like in a van, not knowing where you're going to sleep until that night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really rough in some ways, and really like, I think because of that, it sort of feels like, you know how like monks will like fast and like dip into this part of their brain that's like kind of, it feels like fasting from normal life.
Gotcha.
Mixed with like being at summer camp.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, real life stopped existing and now I'm just with these people all the time. And it's weird because I was talking with my wife about this because she just went on tour doing photography and selling merch. And it's weird because it seems like this thing that is so like outside the rhythm of normal life, mm-hmm. but it's got more of a rhythm than normal life in some way. Cause it's wake up, drive, go to the place, do the thing, find somewhere to sleep, wake up, pack up all your stuff, load back up, and get in. And it's like, all right, and everything's blurring all together. But I think I have distinct memories of that place. And yeah, so it's cool because it just creates this like big singular experience of like I was on tour. It's not like we went to this place and then this place and then this place. It all blurs into one. Yeah. And it I feel like it forced me in a lot of ways to learn how to find like a solitude and solace in myself, because there's like no alone time. Yeah. And so yeah, learning how to like internally take care of myself in the back of a cramped van. Yeah. But yeah, it's also just like such a blast to be able to play music every night. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really hard experience to describe, but it's like, it's so special. Mm-hmm. And like, while I'm home, there's no way I would eat Taco Bell every day. But on tour, I just might.
You get that privilege.
Yeah, you totally do.
It's funny because like, as you described all of that, I went back and forth in my head. Touring's something I've never done. I've played in a couple bands just in high school mm-hmm. and college, and we did local shows and stuff, but I've never toured. And like, hearing you describe it, I went back and forth about 3 times. I was like, I gotta do it. Or like, no, I don't know if I feel like doing that.
Yeah, it's for sure one of those things that philosophers or psychologists call it a transformative experience. It's like a decision that you can't logically make, because the you that you'll become on the other side of it is totally different. So like, when you make the decision, the you that will like reap the benefits of the decision isn't you anymore. Gotcha. And so like, yeah, it's absolutely miserable, and it's absolutely so much fun. It's both. And so it's like, I don't want to steal the glory of like what a human life is, but it feels almost like having a kid. Yeah. Where it's like, people who have kids are like, man, this is miserable. I haven't slept in months. But you gotta have a kid, man. It's the best thing ever.
I think that's a great metaphor. I feel like a lot of people think, I mean, I guess it's just all a form of art. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think of their art as their creation, or like an extension of themselves, which mm-hmm. is what children are as well. So I think it's a good metaphor.
Yeah, it's absolutely miserable and absolutely so rewarding.
All right, I'll think about it some more. I might.
You gotta do it, man.
Maybe at some point. Well, you mentioned your wife going on tour also. I'm curious if you don't mind talking about your relationship a little bit. Seems like music is something that's important to both of you.
Yeah. So I've been married 5 years. My wife, she's a singer. We both grew up in local church scenes, and so I grew up playing guitar and singing, and she grew up singing as well. We didn't meet until later in life, but yeah, she's a great singer, and she's secretly a great songwriter. She hasn't released anything yet, but I think it's on the radar. Cool. She'll show me little voice memos every once in a while, or show her notes app, and it's like, that's good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, and also she's I used to be a lot more like precious and secretive about my music and kind of like not look for input. Because any sort of feedback is the most soul-crushing thing.
Can be hard.
But she has like such a good ear for music, and like now I'm like, hey, can you come listen to this? And she'll be like, you want me to just like say how it made me feel and like how much I like it, or do you want the feedback? It's like, do the first one first, and then tell me what needs to improve. And
depends on the day.
Yeah, she has totally saved me from like. Usually it's like I can tell something is wrong here, and I don't like it, but I'm not sure what it is, and she'll point it out. It's like, okay, thank you.
Cool.
So super helpful.
That's awesome.
Love it. It's great.
How did you meet?
It's funny. We met at. It was at like a church thing. It was at some art thing at a church, and I had recently gone on a date with a girl who was interning there, and the guy who was like running the whole thing had that day asked my wife out.
Yeah.
And so we were like, I was showing up for the girl that I was into, she was showing up for the guy, and then we just met, and sparks didn't fly or anything because we were interested in other people, but because of that, I think like there was no like pretense, there was no like trying to put our best foot forward. It was like, hey, what's up? Oh yeah, I think some of my friends know your friends or know you. Like we had a bunch of mutual friends, but it was like because we were interested in other people, we were just so ourselves.
Yeah, no pressure.
That like we clicked and then kept running into each other after that. And then eventually we're like, we get along really well. Let's keep spending time together. And now we spend time together for the rest of our lives. And that's great. I love it.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I like it a lot. I'm ready to write that screenplay for you.
That's funny that you say that.
It's already in the works?
No, because we kept like running into each other random places and like eventually started getting a little flirty. There was like this inside joke bit like that it was like an indie romance film. Yeah. So like we kept saying that early on in our relationship. So it's funny that you said that because sometimes it still feels like that.
Yeah, that's good. It should.
Yeah.
So here's a fun question, random change of topics. I like to always ask what your favorite song of your own is, your favorite original.
Oh, that's a good one. My favorite is a song called Easy, which is a song that I wrote for my wife.
Very nice.
But yeah, I just like it because I like old like swing music and like jazz influenced stuff, and I feel like I kind of found a way to implement fuse this like indie folk vibe with like a jazzy vibe, and then also with like some other stuff, and also like I think it's one of the songs that I've like written and recorded that best musically captures like the lyrics, like sonically translates it.
Yeah.
Like in the chorus it says, "We fell like waves on foreign shores," and it's kind of like this ocean storm or like imagery, and like the chord changes feel like the tide kind of like slowly crashing on the beach, and yeah, I just really like it. And then somehow, however I set up the mics, the piano sounds super cool.
Nice.
And then,
love that.
Yeah, just like arranged string parts, and so I feel like it kind of stretched me creatively, but like it feels like this timeless song. I feel like sometimes a lot of my songs can feel like not like too stuck in a genre that like is timely, but it's like it's creative enough and like pushes enough of my own boundaries, and yet is like if you listen to it in 20 years, it's like not going to be like, wow, that's so 2020 or like 2019.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I just love it, and I'm generally like I like to be a peaceful, calm person, and usually that's what I use music for, is to like relax. I'm not much of a hypey guy, and it's a very relaxing song to me.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I like to immediately ruin the moment that we've just created by asking what your least favorite song of yours is. Oh. And it's always hard to like criticize or like choose something that you made to be your least favorite, but generally just like something that frustrated you or like didn't quite turn out the way you wanted to is usually what it is.
Yeah. Let me think. I generally like most of my songs.
That's good. You can also not answer this.
Yeah, no.
It's optional.
There's definitely like stuff like as far as production-wise that it's like...
Exactly. It doesn't have to mean like I don't like this song, but just like gave you a hard time maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
They're all good. Can't say a bad
No, there's
thing.
one that I feel like I didn't do justice, or there are a few that I feel like I didn't do justice, but there's one called Lotus on the House Parade EP that the like vocal levels are like all over the place. Like it comes in on the verses come in super strong, and then by the end of the like vocal phrase you're like leaning in like, what did he say? And then like for some reason the bass also has like that same problem, and so like things will be like super present and then it's like, wait, where did it go?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I didn't do the song justice in my brain. Like when I imagined it, it was like this huge epic thing, or like it starts out so intimate and becomes this like grandiose like full orchestration, and I almost got there, but I listened back and I'm like, when I listen back, I hear how I wanted it to sound.
Yeah.
But when I actually listen to how it is, like, could have done better. Maybe someday I'll redo it.
But it got to a point that you were comfortable putting it out.
Yeah, I put it out.
Which is very good. That means you weren't hating yourself over it and stuff. Like, I think every musician feels sometimes it's like the getting to the finish line is tough on certain songs, because you're like, is it done? I could do this better, I could do this better, but I like how it sounds. Let's put it out. Yeah,
I very much so take on the philosophy that, like, done is better than great.
Yeah.
Like, done is better than perfect. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's much easier to move on creatively once I'm just like, yeah, this is done. Which, I don't know. I know a lot of people who take stuff really seriously and won't put it out until it's perfected, and I listen to their stuff and I'm like, yeah, this is perfect. It sounds amazing. And I feel like I should probably take a hint from that, or like implement some of that, but at the same time I know that if I get too perfectionistic, I just will never finish anything.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would listen to your music and say, that sounds perfect.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
But that's how I think for a lot of people too. It's like you're your own worst critic.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mouthful, but
yeah, and that's the thing is like I think I want to like not even let that critic have the microphone.
Yeah.
Before it even gets talking.
Just get it out before you can think of it.
I'm done. I'm moving on to the next thing. Especially since I feel like I write more than I'm able to like keep up with recording wise, and it's like if I keep trying to perfect this, I won't have it done for 2 years, and I'll already have written like 20 more songs, and those won't get recorded.
Yeah, you'll always be behind.
Yeah, I don't want to like stay in song debt. I want to just keep it going.
That's funny. I haven't heard that before. Is that just something you made up right now?
Song debt?
Song debt?
Yeah, that's a new one.
I really like that. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, I just feel like, yeah, I'm always sitting on too many songs, and so, especially since I want, like, part of my whole like recording process is that I just want to have the songs out.
Yeah.
More so than I want to have like this incredible polished finished product. To me, it's more important that I have my songs out there.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I kind of always like have this mentality of like, I want my kids to be able to hear this.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I spend another few months working on this song, that's these songs that my kids won't hear because they won't get recorded.
Yeah.
Which is kind of maybe like a morbid mindset. Like,
No.
I don't want to die before I record these songs.
A lot of people have that, I think. I had that when I recorded like my first album. It was like, took way longer than I thought it was going to take, and I was really slow, and I was like, got about halfway, and it had taken me like a year and a half to get halfway, which I thought when I started it was going to take a few months.
Yeah.
And I was halfway, and it'd been a year and a half, and I was like, dang, what if I die before I finish this?
Yeah,
I'd be so
real
sad.
Fear.
But then I think there's like a quote from Tarantino, like that he was like, he had the opposite feeling, that he was like, he knew he had to make Pulp Fiction. And he was like, this was like before he made it, obviously. He's like, I know, he wasn't anxious before then because he's like, I can't die because I know I have to make this movie.
Oh, funny.
And like, people have to see it. And I was like, I don't relate to that at all. I was like, extreme fear of death.
Yeah.
Early on.
It's real.
But anyway, I feel you. But I like what you said about wanting your kids to hear your music, because it's kind of just like, obviously creating songs is like, you're literally like creating yourself in sonic version. You're like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And if you listen to these, like, you will understand me. At least as much as anyone else could.
Right. Yeah, I like to think of it like the way that I've thought of it for a while, is like leaving behind little fossils of myself.
That's nice.
Especially since it's like, because I try to be a little bit ambiguous in songwriting, it's like, it's hard to tell exactly what I'm saying, but I think I like that because it gives the listener like room to fill in the gaps with themselves and see themselves in the songs. And it's like, I'll listen to the stories that my like mom and dad have told me, and it's like, oh, I can kind of see myself in that story.
Yeah.
And I just think about like when my kid, I don't have kids yet, but if I have kids and they're like 16 and like listening to dad's old album, it's like, whoa, this was my dad. Like, I don't know, just like seeing like, I don't know how to put it into words, and that's why I write songs, I guess.
There you go. Just go listen to the songs, people. Well, we're kind of scratching the surface of the main topic that I always like to get to, and the whole point of this show is I'm really just on a mission to figure out what the point of making music is, because it's such an ambiguous thing. It's something people do for so many different reasons and are trying to find so many different outcomes. So you've answered it a little bit, but I'll give you the question point blank is, why do you make music?
I feel like I have maybe a handful of answers.
Please, this is a podcast, so you have to say all of them.
That's great. One is that I just can't not.
Yeah.
I'll go through like some dry seasons, but I always end up finding myself like just picking up a guitar, sitting at the piano, and making noise. Yeah, so it's just like a habit at this point, which is like not a cool answer. It's like, but it's just a habit. It's just a habit that I have to keep doing.
Yeah, that's valid.
So that's one of the answers. Another, I guess, is like, I think there was a part of me that like wanted to deny this for a long time because it sounded egocentric, but I think it is like leaving behind a legacy of myself, leaving behind those fossils, and like just something to be able to point back to and be like, I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I, for some reason, feel more comfortable just like owning that and be like, I want to have some proof that I existed.
Yep.
On this planet.
It is immortalizing yourself.
Yeah.
In a way, and I think a lot of people feel that way too, who make any kind of art.
Yeah, any kind of art, any sort of accomplishment. It's like we're trying to live forever in some way. Yeah, and then another thing is music affected me in such a powerful way. Like helped me like reframe and process so many of the things that were going on in my life at a young age, and even now it's like music helps me make sense of my world, and I'd like to think that I can contribute to that for others as well. Yeah, or even just like I really like creating a mood, and so like the Lakewalks stuff is like
totally.
I like to find peace, and a lot of times, like I said, music is that for me. It's one of those things I could put on and go for a walk, or put on and lay down and just be like, all right, okay, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
And so those songs were like, making those songs was like, I'm making peace and chill right now. And so it's been cool because a lot of people have like said, I put that on and it like relaxes me, or I put it on when I'm working because it's like I'm stressed and I need to calm down. I'm going to listen to my own stuff.
Yep. I was doing the same thing.
Thanks.
Listening to it at work yesterday.
Yeah, and so it's like I want to make it for the reasons I want to consume music as well. Like create a mood, enjoy it, make sense of my life. So yeah, I guess all of that.
Terrible answers. You have to leave.
All right.
Very good. I love it. We'll move on to something silly then.
Sweet.
I like to kind of, go back and forth between silly things and serious things. So something that I always ask is, I like to know what you enjoy doing besides making music. Other hobbies, your job, if you have a work life outside of music.
Yeah, well, I don't enjoy my job, and that's fine.
That's totally okay.
I like to shut off my brain at work. Learned that if I care too much, I don't have care left over after work. So, thankfully, I'm able to like not fully shut off my brain because I'm gonna do a good job.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, so I work. I like to read a lot.
What kind of books?
I like philosophy, as well as like novels and short stories. I'm a big fan of an author named Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, I know Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, Joey Cams. He's the guy.
He is the guy.
Most recently I've been reading a book called Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory by Raphael Bob Waxberg, who was the creator of a show called BoJack Horseman.
Love BoJack, yeah, okay.
Best show
I didn't know there was a book.
Yeah, I think it's pretty new, but it's like a collection of short stories that are kind of... It's not like animals and stuff.
Yeah.
It might be sometimes. But it's like kind of that same, like... The way he uses absurdism and like kind of crazy nonsense, it feels like as a shortcut to the deepest parts of the human soul. Yeah. He does that. I'll read a short story and like, be laughing 1 minute and then crying the next. So reading... I have plenty of others, but I can't think of them. Like going on walks.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really nice.
You're not faking it then.
Not faking it.
The walks thing.
Yeah, there was a lake that I used to walk. We got married at the lake. Oh. That's the lake.
What's the lake called? Or is it secret?
No,
it could stay secret.
It's RSM Lake in Rancho Santa Margarita. Or I think it might be called something else, but it's the lake in RSM.
That's like a place that your fans can go for like a pilgrimage.
Oh yeah, they can go there. You can go to the spot where I was married. It's a little amphitheater. Nice. But yeah, it's funny. I grew up kind of going around that lake, and then it became this place where I would essentially go and like meditate, clear my head. Mm-hmm. It's a place where my wife and I started dating, a place where I proposed, a place where we got married, and just like is kind of this very special place.
Absolutely.
And yeah, because of that, I wanted to like make Lakewalks as like trying to capture the like feeling of being there for me. Yeah. Which is like being grounded and having peace. But other hobbies, I don't play as many video games as I used to, but I learned to read by playing Pokémon.
Nice. Really?
Yeah, I like cooking a lot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just like another form of creativity that's like, what happens if I mix this with this and hopefully it tastes good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm into cooking too.
And then I like traveling. I like just learning stuff. I feel like I'm always trying to learn something that's outside of my actual, like, what I'm able to learn. And so it's mostly just me, like, watching YouTube videos of people who are way smarter than me and me like, just being fascinated and being like, this is cool.
Those are the only things worth learning, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If it's easy to learn, then screw it.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and listening to a lot of podcasts on, like, theoretical physics.
Oh, geez.
And I know nothing about any of that, but I love it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I've been trying to learn the game Go. I don't know if do you know the board game Go? It's like an ancient Chinese version of, like, it's like chess, but 10 times more complicated and, like, can be extremely, it's, like, supposed to be the hardest, like, board game ever, and I can't figure it out. But I've been watching a lot of YouTube about it. Yeah. I feel like there's something so special about that, of, like, because I don't know, I have this hope, like, eventually it'll click. Exactly.
Eventually I'll get it. But for now, I'm just staring at a screen or, like, listening to a podcast and, like, these guys are saying smart stuff.
Oh, yeah. Maybe somebody will think we're saying smart things.
Maybe.
Can only hope. I'm crossing, you can't see it, but I'm crossing my fingers.
The fingers are crossed. I can confirm.
Which was your favorite version of Pokemon? This is important to me. Okay, so... I mean, there's probably a couple, but...
My dad volunteered for, like, the youth soccer league in the area. And, like, at one of their meetings, in the Lost and Found was a Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red in it. Oh. He's like, no one has claimed this for, like, 5 weeks. And I'm pretty sure at that point I was like, Dad, please. I need Pokemon. So it was the OG Red version.
Yeah.
I was, like,
that is OG.
5. Didn't really know how to read.
Yeah.
And I think Red version is just, it's a classic. Red and blue. But, like, yeah, I would play it all the time, and I had no idea what was happening. I didn't know how to get past, like, the guy in Viridian City. I think, is that the second one?
I think so, yeah.
Or, yeah, I didn't know how to get the, like, package for Professor Oak. So I had, like, a Charmeleon before I even got into Viridian Forest.
I was always a fan of leveling up at the beginning anyway. Oh, yeah. I was just like, if I got the new version later on. I started with gold version. I was a little behind you.
Really good.
But every time I got a new version, I would spend a full day or two after receiving the game just leveling up my first Pokemon, just getting it to the full evolution. And that was such a dumb thing to do because you're leveling up on, like, the weakest monsters at the beginning, so it takes, like, 5 times as long as it should if you just play the game normally. But
yeah, my brother and I would play all the time, and one of our like game cartridges stopped being able to save.
Yeah, that's
and
the worst.
We would go on, like, family trips to Lake Havasu in Arizona, and so it's like we'd wake up in the morning and be like, let's see if we can beat it before we get there. And we got so, like, essentially speed running before we knew speed running was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, let's see if we can beat it before, like, we get there, because if we turn this off, we lose everything.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, so red version, blue version. Gotta love them.
Yeah. I had the same thing with my brother, my little brother. They always came in pairs, so it was like, we'd get gold and silver, we'd get ruby, sapphire, classic. Red leaf, green, green leaf, red. The reboots, what were they?
Yeah.
Green leaf and...
was it fire red?
Fire red, that's what it was. So I was saying red first, that's why I got frozen. Anyway, no kids yet, but do you have any pets?
No pets either.
Okay.
I have some plants.
Those count.
They can count.
You care about them, maybe.
I have been taking pretty good care of them. My basil plant is a little finicky, but that's probably because I keep picking its leaves to cook with.
I mean, that's what it's for.
Changes the game. Having a fresh basil plant right there just pick the leaf, rinse it, and put it in your food.
I support that. If given the opportunity, I'd like a whole garden.
Yeah, same.
Fresh herbs and such. Whatever I can manage. Well, okay. I almost forgot. I have a game I play.
Okay.
It'll be a simple version this time. Basically, I've gone kind of back and forth, but the game's called Soundtrack to Your Life. Basically, I just give you a scene. You pretend you're in a movie. I give you a scene, and you have to choose the song that is playing in the background in a given scene.
I love this.
I've gone kind of back and forth between the amount of detail in the scene. We'll do simple this time. Basically, let's start with like a cliche one, because, well, we talked about it. You can't say Lakewalks, but let's say the scene is you are walking around that very special lake with your very special lady, and it's your 20th anniversary, and you have 2 kids behind you. What song is playing? And I'm only personally requesting you don't say your own music, because it would obviously make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But if you had to go to something else.
I have the song in mind, but it's Alpenglow by S. Carey. I'm pretty sure we played it at our wedding, and it, like, the song is so special. It's like just a magical song because, well, it's funny because it describes like the process of, I think, him falling in love with his wife, but then it also references a lake, and I think he like baptized his daughter in a lake.
Nice.
And so it's like about that too. It's like having kids at the lake where we got marriage.
Perfect.
Yeah. Beautiful song. You gotta listen to it if you don't know.
Half the reason I do this is just so I can hear everybody's favorite stuff and go find new things.
Yeah. Alpenglow, S. Carey.
I hope that's why people listen to. It's just like discover new music, whether it be yours or the stuff that you like. So, scene 2, we'll go complete opposite end of the spectrum. You're with your buddies. I don't know if you drink, but in this scene you've drank many drinks. You've had 5 to 6 shots of tequila. You're out at a karaoke bar. Some guy's being a jerk and just totally bumps into you. You say sorry. You didn't care. But he thinks that you have a problem with him, and he tries to fight you.
Oh.
He actually throws a punch and hits you. And now you're in a fight, and you have to fight back. You don't have to fight back. But it's supposed to be a fight scene.
Yeah, okay.
High energy. What song is playing?
I'm 99.9% a pacifist, but let's give it...
I kind of figured. I was like, I'm describing this. This is not you. This doesn't sound like you. But if you had to imagine yourself in a high energy bar fight...
Okay. I might need a second for this one.
You can also just pass. If it comes to that.
I might have it. Yeah, I don't know. I've tried to get into like aggressive music, but mostly I just think that anger is sadness, like at its core. And anytime I get angry, I usually just end up crying.
Yeah.
So I probably would just cry.
I'm with you. I was recently like writing this. I have this journal that my girlfriend gave me that's like called a me journal, and it asks you questions about yourself. And one of the questions was like, when in your life were you the angriest? And I was like, I don't know. I don't get angry. I just get sad or frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm never like, erg. I'm just like, so I relate to that. That can be a hard pass.
Yeah, I might put on some Rage Against the Machine.
That's like an easy go-to.
Yeah.
I used to like work out to Rage Against the Machine in high school. Not out of anger, but just out of like too much testosterone. And like puberty angst.
It happens.
So. Okay, final scene. You're on tour. Your favorite tour of all time. All of your favorite musicians you've worked with over the years have gotten together to form a super group.
Wow.
And you're in the van driving across the middle of the country. What is your go-to road trip song?
The Climax by Usher.
Perfect.
Not your typical road trip song. But
No, it's not, but...
Climax by Usher is one of the best songs in the entire world.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I will not back down from that statement.
I won't make you. You're so confident. I can't even question it. I can't even really think about it. I just have to accept it. All right. Tell the people where they can find your music, where they can follow you on social media and stuff.
Cool. Yeah. My music is on, I think, all of the streaming platforms.
DistroKid?
Spotify. Yeah, I use DistroKid.
Everywhere they put you?
Shout out. Here's the advertisement.
Yes.
Use DistroKid for all your music distribution needs. Yeah, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, Napster. Is that one still around?
I don't know. I'm still searching. I really want whoever uses Tidal to reach out to me just so we can have a chat. I just want to learn more about the person who uses Tidal.
Yeah.
I say this every time it gets brought up.
I see more ads for Tidal than people who use it.
I've never met anybody who has it, so...
Yeah. But yeah, and then I'm also on... I have a Facebook page, but I feel like only old people... I mean, if you're old and listening, you can go and follow my Facebook page.
Yeah.
But I'm on Twitter as Jordie Saenz, and then I'm on Instagram. The handle is It's Jordie. But
Yeah.
if you just search Jordie Saenz, you'd find it. Yeah, I tweet random stuff on Twitter and
Nice.
don't post that much on Instagram. But sometimes I do.
That's all you need to do, I
Yeah.
think. You can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah.
And I will link all this stuff. If you're listening to this, it shouldn't be that hard to find because things will be linked in the description. And I'll probably have posted this on Instagram, which is probably where most people find it anyway. So
Yeah.
you're smart people. You can do it.
You got this.
I always ask if you would do me the honor of recommending another person that you think would be a good person to interview on this show.
I've got two.
2 is good.
Chance Espinoza and Cameron Simony, who... Chance Espinoza is in a band called Sounds, or Sounds of Satellites, as well as Dad Legs. Cameron Simony is also in Dad Legs and has a solo project called Dog Mountain. Both some of the best songwriters I know, some of the best musicians I know, and I love them with all my heart.
Perfect. I look forward to hopefully meeting them.
Yeah.
I am very backlogged. Anybody
That's
who listens
good.
to this should realize it because like each person I interview usually says 2 or 3 people. And I have this like I actually keep track of everybody on a website that does family trees.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just like growing.
That's
and I just
awesome.
feel bad. Sometimes I reach out to somebody, I'm like, I'm going to hit you up soon. And then it's like a month later, I'm like, all right, let's do it. I'm going to hit you guys up. Be patient with me. But
I can't wait for their episodes.
well, thank you. This has been a pleasure.
Hey, thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time and staying out here in Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
And that was fun. Yeah.
It was really fun. Thanks for having me.
We always end with a high five, so
I love it. Boom.
perfect.
Brother stoic alchemist, home with your elixirs. Though your head my father kissed, you left your sisters. Brother, your paralysis holds you like a fetter. Say that you're not good at this, there's nothing better. You could make gold if you draw it out from all days and sediment. If you set yourself to sift through the elements, both getting old. Don't let your talents callous to a monolith. Don't be so quick to cast aside your mother's name when you could make gold. if you set yourself to sifting through your own don't let